What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Friday night, man. Standing A Live is coming to you, special edition, if you will. Thanks to all the fans tuning in tonight, as well as our sponsors, Conceited Nobody Says Boxing Academy and Nutrition Plus, where all your health and fitness needs can be met. You can reach them online in terms of their connections at their respective business entities. Tonight, fans, we will break down and discuss, if you will, pretty much almost a month of headlines in the sport of boxing. Whether we're talking about Browder and Don King and Shakur Stevenson and his upcoming bout, or we're talking about Benavidez defeating Caleb Plant. We will cover it all tonight. And first and foremost, before we get rolling too hard, man, what's up with you, big dog, man? My co-host, the DOC, aka Latoris.
No, man, I'm good. Just happy to be back in the house with Jason one more time.
Why don't you start that mess?
Yeah, man. I want to give a shout out to my daughter. She out here playing camera woman. She out here getting busy helping me record today.
Absolutely, absolutely. She is getting her first executive production and directing on. So It's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody tuning in. Anything, and I know we giving a quick synopsis on the gumbo, but so much going on the headlines. Anything you want to say before we get to rolling on to our This Day segment in terms of history?
Oh, no, boxing, man, super busy, man. So we got a plethora of things to talk about. Big fights coming up, fight rumors, and as you alluded to, the signing. That it seemed like, do we got that on tap? The Browner and Don King?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll talk about it at the end. But yeah, we got some catching up to do. A good time here at Standing A Live.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, fans, like we always do, before we get to going on to the present day, we're going to flash back with a little bit of history with our This Day in Boxing History segment. So we usually do this for Thursdays. So for everybody out there, they're going to say, man, April 6th was yesterday. You are correct. But with that being said, we're flashing back to two things. And this one I really put on because I know you're going to be like, daggone, man, that's a crazy stat. April 6th, which was yesterday, fans, I understand.
We're not live. We could have thought it was April 6th right now.
Right now. They'll believe it. Hey, they flash back the camera and everything. 1931, Little Orphan Annie debuts on NBC. Now, for those fans that are thinking, why is he talking about Orphan Annie, man? Don't act like you ain't see it at, what was it, Daddy Warbucks?
Daddy Warbucks.
Oh, man, and my man, the first AD. What was my man name? The first AD on, you know what I'm talking? But you know,
I wasn't around in 1931 when you was watching.
No. I'm talking about the movie though. Yeah. But no, man. So I just thought that was a interesting detail. But moving on to boxing.
Real quick. Daddy Warbucks was modeled after a German banker who was very intrinsic in the formation of, let me see, the League of Nations, the UN. He was a financier that they modeled. Man, I can't remember his particular name, but when you mentioned it was NBC, let people not get confused. This was radio.
Yeah.
People don't understand how radio was the craze at this particular time. Radio was the big thing. So listen, I always say that you drop something where you drop a jewel on them, and that's exactly what you did, man. If that was the final question on Jeopardy sometime in the future, I got you to thank for my $1 million win.
Hey, you ain't gonna want to thank me if you call me because I'm gonna forget all about it. But no, in all seriousness, I just was given the context of no matter which part of Orphan Annie you got, whether you got our version, whether you got the new version with Jamie Foxx, whether you remember Jay-Z doing Hard Knocks Life, it doesn't matter which you gravitate towards. I just thought that was interesting. But beyond that, man, on the interesting factor in terms of history, we are flashing back to when Sugar Ray Leonard returned to the ring after a 3-year layoff to face marvelous Marvin Hagler in one of the bouts that throughout history has remained so-called controversial.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, it was a split decision win by Sugar Ray Leonard. Some didn't like the way he, to me, boxed himself into a win using that jab, using his footwork, man. This was about, for Sugar Ray's lineage, that went a long way. But on the reverse side, for Marvin Hagler, went a long way for his fans in terms of them saying, "Oh man, they took that one from you." So just putting that in perspective, and not to harp because I know we've talked about both these very well respected gentlemen, not only inside and outside the ring, but as respective fighters. Um, when you think about that flip side of the coin, when it's one of those fights where it's split decision, and both of those guys at this point of their career, they were already stapled, if you will. I'm not saying this doesn't go in to part of the legacy, but I'm saying they were stapled in a sense. What do you think about the tail signs of the coin, if you will? Heads and tails, you know what I mean?
Yeah, with this fight right here, I always tell people that when I try to explain to them how I started liking boxing, it was based on this fight. What year was this?
This was
86 or
86.
something like 86. What stood out for me?
86, yeah.
86. Matter of fact, it was April 7th, 1987. And the reason why it stands out so much.
Look at you. Fucking up my
Because I'm going to tell you how I know, because I knew where I was living at. And the house I was living at, I only went to that school for 1 year. So that's how come I particularly remember this. And even more poignant, I remember the promo for the fight.
So I'm going to just say the only reason he's right fans is because even back then they had daylight savings time and all that stuff. But we ain't going to talk about that. The fight took place in Vegas. You take it on as you will.
Yeah.
As always, he always got a little different perspective now, but seriously.
This what introduced me to it because I was thinking Burger King, but I can't remember exactly which fast food joint had the promo, but they had the cups.
I think it was Burger King.
And the cups, and it was like Hagler on one side and it was Sugar Ray on the other side. And at the time I was 6 years old and I wasn't that handsome. So I gravitated towards Marvin Hagler in this fight.
You said you looked at the blue collar guy. Let's just say he's a blue collar guy.
I could physically identify with him. But all jokes aside, they did this one. Like this was super heavy promotion. People don't understand how mainstream boxing was at this particular time. So it reached even to a first grader in Anderson, Indiana, to where I didn't see this fight. But I knew it was happening. I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know exactly what boxing was. People don't understand. We didn't have the internet. Yeah. We didn't sit around and watch TV all day. We didn't do nothing but go outside and play. But with the strength of marketing, it was able to reach me. And this is when I first noticed boxing. Then right after, I found out who Mike Tyson was. And after that, it was a wrap. But this was Sugar Ray coming out of his second
about 3
retirement.
years, right? Yeah.
His second time coming from retirement. One thing people can say about Sugar Ray, when he came back to fight whoever was on top. Absolutely. He didn't come back just for money grabs. Of course, they were money fights, but he came back and he fought who the dogs was. Now, of course, at the time I heard Sugar Ray won, I was upset. And it was like pain by proxy because I didn't see the fight. I was just mad because
your guy didn't win.
It was like having 2 Mondays in a row.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah. So, but going back and watching, and from a dog perspective, who's seen many fights and got my own mind, it was a fight that you said who won based on who you wanted to win, as far as fans go. If you was a Sugar Ray fan, you was happy that he came out. He fought in spurts. At times made Hagler look robotic when he go into a shoe shining, doing the aesthetically pleasing thing for the crowd and the fans. And then if you was a Hagler fan, you was like, man, why is he running? Why won't he stand there and fight? You know what I'm saying? So it became a preference thing for me and for, I think, most people who watched it.
No,
this was a monumental fight, though. two all-time greats at their peaks. We didn't know that this was Marvin Hagler's last fight. And yeah, and this was at the time where no matter you could have losses and still be in mega fights. Sugar Ray had lost at this time. Hagler had unlost at this time, but they were still viewed as two of the best fighters in the world. And this is an era that's sorely missed in boxing. I really miss this era.
And again, and we ain't gonna harp on this, but I just pose that to you. How, to me, business in terms of money, and nobody's knocking anything. Sugar Ray Leonard made a lot of money. Hagler made money. I mean, people made money regardless of their era. But how much is money of the decision of the challenge nowadays to you? And just posing this because we talking about exactly one of the things you brought to light. Leonard coming back, fighting somebody that's on top. He's not fighting 3 tune-ups to get here.
Right.
He's going there.
Right.
How much of business, and again, we understand business. And anybody that can make $4 million on Tuesday wants to make $4 million on Tuesday.
Right.
But how much does the business get into the way of the Leonard versus Haglers?
It's hard to tell. You know that you gotta be a steady camera. You told me you could do it. You told me you could do it.
You got it. You are winning tonight.
But look, dog, I'm telling you something. Hey, listen, that's how we operate.
Stop and go back.
But the business, I think business should precede anything and everything. We hear all this talk about legacy. And I heard somebody recently say that no matter who you are, no matter what you accomplish, it's always somebody going to question your legacy. But prime example, Floyd Mayweather, people can say he ducked, he started cherry picking, whatever. They can question his legacy when he says he's the best ever. But when he says he's the richest boxer ever, nobody can question that. So you can't leave your children a legacy, but you can leave them money. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And we get lost in the competitiveness from the sideline where we tell people what they should do when they're risking their life for money. You can tell somebody you should go fight the toughest fight ever for my pleasure. I don't care if you make $10,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So money should be the deciding and the motivating factor in anything that you do in a capitalistic system where at the end of the day, they at work. You want nobody coming to your job telling you should do it the hardest way that you can.
For the least amount of money.
Yeah, it's foolish.
No, that's a very good analogy as you put it. You know what I mean? I guess, and I can respect that. I guess my thing about that context, and not only that context, but just about the structure of how one may proceed with their career, if you will, is calculated risk, right? And so some people's calculator are better than others.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Definitely. So I can respect it all. And here's the other thing. We don't know as late as football is with brain injury and these other problems and what happens with different athletes as they progress from their careers competitively. Mm-hmm. Not to say they're necessarily removed from the sport. We don't hear too many stories of where they're digging into what happens when you're a professional boxer. And this is beyond a Sugar Ray Leonard. This is beyond a Floyd. I'm talking about a guy that may have 40, 50 fights.
Right.
You know what I mean? That never made any kind of what we call anybody from that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Competitively looking in terms of the accumulation of funds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know there's no insurance.
Mm-hmm.
We know there's no things, but we talk about a lot on this show about various levels of the sport. But when we think about that, I don't see too much CTE, if you will. And there's no way you can tell me jarring of the brain don't happen more predominantly in the sport of boxing I don't care headgear or not.
Right.
If that man can punch through a wall, he punched through your face the same way with headgear, and you get jarred the same, and your corner brings you back till you get together and do it again. You know what I mean? So
it's like when we seen Gladiator, the movie Gladiator. This is modern day gladiators. You see what I'm saying? And nobody knows the person who got killed last week.
right,
You see what I'm
okay,
saying? Like
preceding him.
the majority of people have a bloodthirst when it comes to boxing. They want to see bang bang. They don't want to see the art of it. So it's not emotionally attached to these fighters. And the reason why he's not emotionally attached because we don't see them every day like we do NBA players or NFL players, where you can gather their personality. You know what I'm saying? Where you can see them as human beings as opposed to just athletes.
Okay.
So I think that people don't understand like exactly what's on the line when they get in that ring every time, and we become dismissive to them after
what they do.
like what have you done for me lately? We see what we're gonna talk about later, like the public sentiments towards Adrian Broner, how it's done flipped. 5 to 7 years ago, Adrian Broner was a highly sought after fighter. Everybody wanted to see his personality up close and personal. Once that star started to dim, everybody started critiquing, figuring out what's wrong with him, and now they start abandoning. You see what I'm saying? So they don't like the person; they like the personality. And once that personality not pleasing to their, you know what I'm saying, what they like to see, discarded, and then they don't realize that these are people outside of the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like they have family, people they got to go to, they got bills they got to pay, and then they got emotional issues that they got to deal with.
Right.
And so, being that they just fighters, we imagine that they just gonna fight through everything and not have issues, and it's crazy.
No, I agree with that, man. And I know for the fans out there, it seems like we're getting on a tangent of some sort. But if you think about it, there's so much non-structure to the perfection of boxing. And one of those things that is not talked about is CTE to me. Like I don't hear too much CTE attached to boxing. And if you can attach it to a sport where you have a helmet on, and if they're saying that is the collision of a car wreck or whatever, depending on your position and how many times you have a car wreck during the day, imagine what the capacity is of taking on punches as a professional boxer. So
you know how they say though, ignorance is bliss.
that's true.
So when you make yourself aware of it, then the issue of accountability comes in. We like boxing. We want to see people get hit in the head, but it's not something that's natural. So we try to not focus on this. Somebody's actually getting their brains beat in. Yeah. And so we just, you know what I'm saying, we ignore it. We just say it's another day at the office. You chose the job that you in. And it's crazy. But you know what? I'd rather see the nigga get CTE than cut off boxing. I'm not a good person.
No, but that's heavy.
Yeah.
Because it becomes in the sense of, okay, what else are we selling?
Right.
No matter the sport, we're selling marketability, we're selling jerseys, we're selling autographs, we're selling pay-per-views, we're selling whatever, but we're selling. So that's our this day in boxing history. In terms of flashing back to not only Sugar Ray Leonard in this bout with Marvin Hagler, but just the sport of boxing in itself and how you can be on top in a blink of an eye and then you in the back of the shower.
Gerald McClellan.
You know what I mean? In the next day. It's just really crazy.
Right.
Moving on along, man, to our regional aspect of the game. Hits Boxing has a card coming up April 8th, that's Saturday at the Rosemount. Hold on, let me get this right so I don't say this
They're not
wrong.
messing around the casino no more.
I haven't seen them there very much. They're at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemount, Illinois. There are a few tickets remaining. As you know, Hits does a very good job of promoting in his region. Derek Finley, the journeyman, is on this particular card, among other area fighters. You got, I believe they have a clash on the main event of two prospective undefeated fighters going at it. Perez and Man, don't give me the quoting people name. But I'm just saying, man, hits anybody up in that northern Indiana, East Chicago, whatever you call that particular trifecta of a region, this is going to be a very solid card. You know what I mean? And Derek Finley, I mean, speaking of boxing and just fighting, continues to he just continues to fight on. You know what I mean? So you can't help.
Derek, like, what you doing tomorrow? I don't know. You want to fight? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's always ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's kind of a throwback, but also gives you a flash into what today's game is. And not too many people call upon that journeyman to get that work. But again, this is a hits promoted card. You can go to hitsboxing.com for tickets that still remain. They gonna be in the back, so don't call standing they lap talking about, man, you said they had front row. We didn't say that. You's a liar. You know what I mean? But again, check out hitsboxing.com for tickets. And again, this should be a very entertaining card. The weather's breaking here in the Midwest region, especially in terms of Chicago, man. We've had some windy storms and whatnot. But this should be a windy storm of fists. So your face may not be displaced, but somebody's will in that place. You know what I mean? So it should be a good fight, man. So
ladies and gentlemen, MC Jason.
So tune in, man. Moving on along, we've had Golden Gloves here within the Naptown City, if you will, Circle City. There are 2 weeks left within Golden Gloves before we get to that championship round. I believe Sid may have one left at Sid's Boxing Academy in terms of that. And I think Sims Boxing by Coach Spearman has about one left. So either way, I could be wrong, so don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said. But either way, Golden Gloves, $15 at the door. You know what I mean, for those one night sessions. Again, we are working towards that championship goal. So if you're trying to check out young talent, have some fun, bring your family out, man, Golden Gloves is a good place to be.
Definitely. And again, not a bad seat in Tyndall.
Oh, absolutely not, man. And it's a historical spot. Moving on along, man. National news. Man, over the past few weeks, we've had a lot of headlines, whether we're talking about wins in the sport or otherwise. I would like to start off talking about the Don King, Adrian Bronner so-called unity. Here's my question to you. Does the so-called agreement equal business, or is this
I mean, I imagine it's business. I don't know if it's good business or bad business, but it's business. I've been holding this one ever since you mentioned the name. I said, boy, I can't wait to drop this. I said, it's like they met at the graveyard and said, I'm not ready to die. He said, me neither.
Me neither. Come on.
Let's make a deal.
What is Don King, like 90? And I'm not trying to be funny.
No, I think you are being funny because everybody knows he's at least 900.
Okay, he old.
Yeah.
He's old, and we know he can get business done in terms of...
No, we don't. We know he can do it in terms of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We're not sure what he can do today. We don't know. It seems like every time I hear about a boxer, and it's no disrespect to Don King, he's a legend. But when I hear about fighters attached to Don King, it's always when I hit next on the page, it's a lawsuit with the same fighter and Don King. It's like he hasn't had good business in quite some time. He hasn't been viable since the 90s. He had a few here and there throughout the last 20 years. The last person I think he was attached to that was really making noise was the light heavyweight, Tavares Cloud. And after that, it seemed like it wasn't nothing after that.
Yeah.
And you can't deny his legend, but no one wants to see Akeem Olajuwon in a Toronto uniform.
Damn.
Or Patrick Ewing in Seattle Supersonics.
Supersonics?
Nobody wants to see that. So And again,
Supersonic.
and this ain't me not wishing success because you want Bronner to be successful. Him and Don
Bronner's
King.
done.
I don't. He might be, but I just said I want him to be successful.
I don't want him to be done.
I want him to be successful.
I want him to
whether
win.
It's in the ring or
I
out.
want him to win like DJ Khaled too.
Yeah.
With the cocoa butter spray and shit.
Yeah.
I want him to win all through his life. I just don't see this being a winning scenario. And here's what I'm going to say by that, fans. Don King will put you in some fights. He'll put you somewhere he want to be. He'll put on a fight in Ohio at one of those casinos or something. Headlined by Adrian Bronner. Stafford can bring in all that other talent. Whoever it is, long or short, right? The bottom line is, where does it go from the show? I don't see it. I don't see Bronner being serious enough to understand this is almost the last grasp. To me, and again, I'm not part of what they call a twin. I'm not part of twin camp. I ain't even from Cincinnati. I'm not even from there. But what I'm saying is, how many chances do you get to try and live up to the talent? I'm not even saying exceed because other people's expectations are exactly that person's expectations. And we all know Bronner has done some things in his career that you can't take away from, regardless to who you say his opponents were for particular titles and getting his hair brushed in the ring. Right. And we can do all of that. But what I'm saying is at this point, I don't see the focus being there to try and exceed anything that he's already done.
Right. And in regards to, like, we don't know how many chances he get. I don't think that we should define anyone or ourselves by how many chances we get, but we should define ourselves about taking advantage of those chances. And we can only hope that he do it this time right here. Anybody who been watching boxing as long as we don't have high expectations for Bronner to do anything devastating this current crop of boxing. He's not active enough. He don't seem to have the urgency that he had in his youth. Ever since the Maidana fight, he's been on a downward trajectory. He's had controversial wins over fighters who I can't even remember. Like, I don't remember his last opponent, but I know he looked terrible in that fight. So whether he's fighting in 135 to 140, he's a disaster at 47. But the crop at 140 is so young, so talented, so explosive that
you got a chance.
It's hard to see. Like, what the only thing that I think that he has, and he got a chance. Well, he can survive a fight because he got a nice chin. But what if Don King is doing good business? What he gonna do? He gonna set him up with a couple for sure wins. He could probably find a name in there somewhere, and then try to cash him out against one of these young boys.
That's fight.
Yeah, and maybe not even so much the title because he still do got name recognition and name power. So he has viability on that end. So if you match him up with the right person, like they was talking about, getting him in with Rolly Romero, another fighter who, well, I don't want to even say Rolly's never had that much success to even put him on the same. But it will be an interesting matchup with interesting personalities with press conferences that's going to draw attention. These are two fighters
that sells. Let's just say it.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, fight that sells. And man, you digging so many layers in. I guess I almost feel like it's a bridge that's been burnt when I think about Bronner. And what I'm saying is,
but what bridge exactly?
I don't mean a bridge in terms of a personal entity. I mean a bridge in terms of him burning himself.
Yeah.
And whether that's remember he went them couple years with all he do is carry 50s and 100s or whatever it was, and he flushing money down the toilet and this and that.
That's aesthetics, so that's just to draw attention.
But here's what I'm saying. Sometimes part of that is part of someone's psyche. And regardless to, again, I don't know him.
Yeah.
I don't know him, man. I do not know this young brother, man. But I know he's been talented. And I know certain things don't happen. If you can flush them 20s down the toilet, you can give them away.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're gone,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by gone is you're from recognizing that grass that grow in that same community you
Yeah.
used to play ball in that had that patchy grass coming through the cement.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's one of those, man. But also, we're all human, so you can't say too much, man. But we all boxing fans. I want to see him be successful. I just don't know what's left in that tank in terms of focus to be
And,
able to
and outside the ring,
capitalize.
he you hope he's maturing. He had an issue, he said, with alcohol. He said he quit drinking and things like that. He has children that he's trying to raise, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
first and foremost, we wish him health, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like the wealth that's attached to health, whether it be mentally, physically, or spiritually. We want him to continue to grow because you leave boxing between 30, like before you reach 50, typically,
Right.
before you reach 40, typically.
Way before. Yeah.
But after 40, it's so much life left to live to where you can redefine yourself if that's what it needed to be. But you got to position yourself to do that and have people around you who, you know what I'm saying, who foster that for you, who push you towards that. And I think his disadvantage is being that he's been surrounded with people who say yeah
all the time
when they need to say no.
I can agree, man. I can agree with that, and I can also agree with the fact of growth.
Yeah,
and especially the time frame that you gave in terms of 30s and 40s. Thank God, you know what I mean? I'm here at 40 something.
mm-hmm.
But like, I can't remember who it was. They said, man, flashback to when you was 22 and then talk about this same perspective. It's hard to have it unless you've had the experiences to get where you are today, whether you're 30, 40, or whatever, but to grow from that 20 something. I just think, again, man, this is a star. He's been a star. He's went as a star, right? We just watching something where we feel like it shouldn't be his time quite that soon because of his talent and whatnot, and fans of boxing. But again, like you're saying about champion men and how he's talking about his kids, that's the shit that matter. It ain't no WBC title
at all.
It's something bigger than that. So that's just us touching on Bronner, the King. Okay, discussing. Let me use a different term. Discussing Bronner and King, man. Moving on along, we talking Benavidez defeats Caleb Plant. It looked like two different fights. Plant was on him early for about 1 through, I'm going to give him about 4 or 5. Real solid 4 or 5 before it changed. And then Benavidez just kept working. Just that machine of working.
Right.
What did you see in terms of that bout? Again, we know it went the full distance, but I'm saying, what did you see? Did you see two tails of a fight?
I saw Kenny Baylor save Caleb Plant's life. That's what I saw. I seen the fight went. It went just almost how I expected. Caleb Plant, he's a fantastic boxer, but he don't got that next level. He just don't have that next level. Benavidez beat him just off attrition. He broke him. Had Kenny Bayless not being so, he had inserted himself into the fight so much to where he was so aggressive on stopping Benavidez from working and allowing Plant to do a lot of holding. I think Benavidez would have stopped him. It was a pretty good fight. A lot of people are saying where that Canelo would have watched Benavidez, but Benavidez had spots in that fight where he looked real sloppy. People forget the old adage that rings true no matter the situation is that styles make fights. Canelo don't fight the same way Plant do where he try to stifle you and hold you. Canelo, he don't move around the ring that much because he has fatigue issues. He does a lot of head movement. You know what I'm saying? He like upper body movement like that. And I think that and then trying to counter Benavidez would be his game plan. But what will give Benavidez the like some ups in that fight? I won't say the edge, but what will play in his favor is his work rate, his youth, and his belief in himself. This will be an incredible fight, in my opinion, and what it will be based on will be Benavidez's ability to take Canelo's best shots.
And if he can sustain it,
I think Benavidez ain't gonna have no kind of like fatigue issues. Being able to sustain will be on Canelo's end because Canelo, I don't think he's fought a fighter ever in his career who gonna just stand there. Well, Triple G first couple fights, but just standing right there and just be in his chest the whole time. That fight, and it would be a huge fight. Canelo's focused on Bivol, trying to get his rematch against Bivol after this fight with Ryder that's coming up. But that's the fight right there. And that fight would do incredible numbers, whether it be at a gate. I'm not sure about pay-per-view, not just in regards to them, but it's pay-per-view, period. Mm-hmm. But a gate in Texas or Vegas, it would be incredible.
Somewhere where there's a mega arena.
I would damn near find out. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible.
I can agree with that.
And it won't happen until next year, though.
I'm about to say it's far off, though. I don't think
the end of next year, September.
That's pressing. 24. You know what I mean? I think it's a good fight. And then you have the whole, they're going to do it on a holiday. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. To make it make sense. But I do agree with Benavidez being able to apply a different pressure to Canelo. And what I mean by that, fans, we all know Canelo has a good uppercut. He's able to do certain things in the ring, but he also hasn't had to fight off that back foot with somebody just willing to come forward. Yeah. Whether that's taking some of that brunt of the action or not, Benavidez is willing to come forward. So I do think it's a very interesting bout. We'll see what happens.
Suffice it to say, from my point of view, Canelo peaked. Canelo, we've seen the best Canelo.
So you're saying it's only going down?
You stay where you at or you go down. I don't see anything that's going to be into his game with more wrinkles. I think that Canelo like to challenge himself, man, but I just don't. It's so many fights that he missing out where we was talking legacy for real. Like if that was a thing, it's the Andre, Charlo, and these are fights that Benavidez is probably gonna fight.
Yeah.
David Morrell, people need to hold him back. Don't run him up there yet. Give him another year and fight more quality fight. He's a good fighter, but yeah, Canelo, if he really wanted smoke, there's a lot of smoke out there.
There's plenty of smoke.
Outside of John Ryder.
Absolutely. I ain't gonna go there. Absolutely. No, it's plenty of fights to be made. Speaking of, man, let's talk about Joshua. He defeats Franklin by decision. Jermaine Franklin out of the Midwest, out of Detroit. To me, this is one of those fights they thought Joshua was going to do something, get him out of there. You know what I mean?
Who thought that?
Well, I'm sure Joshua's camp thought that.
Joshua need to go see the Wizard of Oz.
It's a Midwest fighter. You know what I mean? But we know he's a well-trained fighter, and he's also a guy that uses his jab as a heavyweight. Mm-hmm. And we know Joshua has not seemed to want to take chances as a heavyweight in terms of throwing those heavyweight shots and being willing to trade. Some people call this fight a snoozer. I don't know if you got to see any highlights. Just your opinion in terms of what Joshua has to bring towards that top tier of the heavyweight division.
First off, I'm gonna tell you what Joshua was fighting a fighter who himself was coming off a loss, right? Joshua is a fighter how old is Joshua now? 30, 31, 30?
Man, maybe 30.
Early 30s, but he's 33. He's lost to Usyk 2 times, and he lost to, of course, what's your boy name, man? Damn. I feel so disrespectful. His first loss where he was out there just getting beat up. Everybody who know, they know the fighter. Oh man, I'm mad at myself. But anyway, at this point in your career, you don't fight fights to gain confidence. You lose a fight, you figure out what happened, and you go back in there and you get busy. I don't understand, like, and then you just keep trading coaches. You see what I'm saying? He just left Robert Garcia. Now he's with Derrick James now. A lot of people thought since Derrick James doing this thing with Jermell, Earl, and Frank that he gonna somehow
get him together.
Josh was not cut like those fighters as far as that grit and determination that I will push it to the next level. It's like Anthony Joshua be in the ring and all of a sudden he be like, damn, I left the oven on. I got to get the muffins out when I get. He's not focused on the fight. That's what it seemed like with Joshua.
You said he left the oven on, man. He's
but me understanding like or perceiving and understanding his makeup, I didn't think Josh was gonna go ahead and get no knockout. Josh was not that type of fighter who comes out ferocious. I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. Joshua is, oh well, if they don't like me, they just don't like me. And he just go sit down, Indian style, and eat his cupcake. You know what I'm saying? That's who I see Joshua, and it's dangerous. Because you can't be lackadaisical in this boxing. If you're gonna be out
not in that heavyweight, though.
Definitely not in the heavyweight. So Joshua, he can't beat Fury and he can't beat Wilder. Because Joshua will lose mentally before they even get in the ring. Joshua seemed like he fight because he can fight. You know what I'm saying? It's not he fight because he love fighting. And this is me, my perception. I don't know what he might be right now doing, chasing chickens and shit, chopping wood, proving this. I don't know what he doing. So we know that this is the thing that they could be actually trying to work on. You see what I'm saying?
No, I can feel that. But you said he's 33.
Yeah.
Let's talk about athletics, muscle memory. Let's just be honest. He ain't about to reinvent himself.
He is
right now. He is who he is. He is where he is. And exactly what you said, I totally agree. He can't beat a Wilder. You don't want a Fury. And I understand that's the top of the tier. But what I'm saying is they're wanting to put Joshua there without
Andy. What's his name? Andy who?
Ruiz.
Andy Ruiz. Sorry for the disrespect, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that tier of the heavyweight division right now, in terms of the money and the marketing and what they do, and the pop of a fight. Let's just be honest. Joshua don't have a pop of a fight right now as a heavyweight. He comes in as a quality heavyweight, but nobody's just clamoring to fuck with Joshua, and that's boxing tactics and characteristics and charisma outside the ring. Yeah. Nobody's just saying, man, I want to just be around this motherfucker.
Now, see, I gotta back up off that one though, because I don't know what's going on in Europe.
Well, but what I'm saying is, at this point in the mix, you got to have both sides of that pond as part of your formula.
Do you think you got to wear an NWO shirt? Leave Hulk Hogan, become Hollywood Hulk. He got turned into a villain. Should he throw down that Ukraine flag after the Usyk fight?
No, but if they call him like they do, showing them people on that one Ukraine commercial, and then they bring up the Holocaust, we all know that don't make no sense. So that's all I'm saying. Yeah. At some point, things need to make sense, man. Right. Joshua is a quality fighter, but what are we pushing for? Are we pushing for the fold of mediocre and I'm here, I'm part of this mix? Or are we pushing for I can be that guy again? And I guess that's the problem I'm not sold on. If you will.
And let's just be fair to him. Also, he was in his first camp with a new trainer, and he did fight a fighter who knows how to fight, and he's gritty. He didn't just get in there with no bum. So we need to factor those two things in before making a complete judgment on Joshua and his career. He still does have money fights out there. He still can make a ton of money. But again, you want him to be more health conscious and indulging in these endeavors.
Absolutely. Moving on along, man. Let's talk about
briefly
your idol.
My what?
Man. Your idol, man.
Roy ain't none of my idol, man. He ain't got no idol.
Roy went down.
Come on, Doc.
You didn't eat
I can beat
cereal.
Roy Jones
You
up
didn't
today.
eat cereal
I
for
can't
3
beat
days.
I can't beat my idols up. I'll beat Roy Jones
You
up.
didn't eat cereal for 3 days, man. You was like, shit, Roy lost to who? Hey, you woke up
This
to that.
fight?
Yeah, you woke up
No,
to
I
that.
didn't. No, I didn't. I said, how he get out of the nursing home?
Oh, shit.
That's what I said.
Oh,
I said,
shit.
who let him out?
Who let
Shout out
him
to
out?
Roy. He went out there and fought somebody. I didn't
He
see
did.
it. I didn't see it. They said he should have won. I said he should have been fighting. It was none of my
There you
business.
go.
I didn't want to say it wasn't none of my business. I had nothing to do with it. Anybody wants to know I had nothing to do with Roy Jones fighting last weekend?
So what he's saying is he still got them one
Roy
Jordans.
Jones
done.
54, and he must have forgot that he's 54.
He didn't forget, man. You ain't see Roy out there.
No.
He had the oldest looking press conferences. He looked like
Come on, Doc.
when Rocky was trying to come back
Yeah.
after the shit when they told him to
Dude.
retire.
Yeah.
He told them, I'm not going to say anything about him.
Yeah.
He's just going to go back out and fight. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, Roy's talented. Roy need to train people. Roy need to do that square ring thing. Roy need to get his ass out there to ring. And I understand he may see plenty of people. He feels like he can fight as a professional at 54 years of age, and especially after the career he's had, there's nothing to prove. There's nowhere to go.
I would have liked to see Roy just go ahead and cross over into entertainment. He had his foray in the movies with the Matrix. He did his rap thing. But when you love the game, you just love the game.
I can agree with that.
Love it. But I mean, sure, I'm glad he got out there with his life.
No, man, he didn't look bad like that. It's Roy at 54.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on. Moving on to this weekend, man, we got Shakur Stevenson versus Shakiro Yoshino, WBC lightweight eliminator. This is at the Prudential in Newark on ESPN. We've got a loaded weekend from ESPN Plus, ESPN, DAZN, Showtime. What do you expect to see from Shakur this weekend? Another fighter that's just expected to mow through competition, if you will. This is a quality opponent. What do you see happening with this particular fight?
I hope it's a good fight. I'm looking forward to a good fight. Shakur, you want to see him in there with big names.
Mm-hmm.
The big names are tied up. He's looking forward to getting the winner, perceivably, of the Lomachenko and Haney fight that's coming up. He's been fighting like quality fighters, but he's not been fighting fighters with names. Not from the lack of wanting to, but Shakur almost got to get in that position where he got to be mandatory, even with a machine with like top rank behind him, because he's that good. And people don't just want to fight him and not be thinking like, I'm going to get something big out of this, because he hasn't reached the level of stuff to where it's okay to lose to him at.
Right.
His opponent, I'm not familiar with him, but he has an impressive KO rate. I think he has 18 wins, like 15 by knockout. Mm-hmm. And he just came off a fight where he stopped his fellow countryman, Nakatani, the guy that Lomachenko actually stopped too, but who went to war and gave Teofimo a tough fight.
Right.
So this fighter right here, while he might not be known, he is a live underdog, and it should be a great fight. And I'm looking forward to it.
I can agree with that. And I think with Stevenson, this is more of a thing where people are looking for a stoppage versus a points win. And regardless of what you say about that, how hard that is to do, I think that's what the masses are perceiving.
I don't know why they're perceiving that, because Shakur not a knockout fighter. I don't know why
it's not even about a knockout, but it's about the talent, and they feel like he can overshadow him in certain ways in terms of value and punching and doing what Shakur can do. And the other side of that is unfamiliarity. You know what I mean? And when you're unfamiliar with somebody, whether that's the masses or a fighter, I think it poses for an interesting bout. So we'll see. I got Shakur, and I'm gonna go with a 10 round.
I'm gonna go with a decision.
I can see that. I'm gonna go with the stoppage, just cause. You know what I mean. Also on that same card, we've got Jared Anderson versus George Arias. Big baby, another big baby, if you will, within the heavyweight ranks. Jared Anderson is a qualified heavyweight coming up. What do you think? Does he stop it? Does he keep some of this knockout
I'm not
streak?
familiar with his opponent. Also, so yeah, he's gonna stop him. I'm looking forward to him because he's one of my favorite young fighters. I like Jared Anderson. He got a lot of charisma. He's one of the fighters who you look like. I wonder what he gonna do when he come out here. I wonder what he gonna dress, what he gonna wear, how he gonna come out here. Yeah,
how he's gonna carry himself the whole night.
Definitely. So he's definitely a fighter. I'm looking like one of my favorite young fighters. I'm ready to see what's going on in this fight. I'm excited to see his growth. He's another fighter who I'm waiting to see step up in competition. I don't know how that goes. He is young, 23 years old, I believe, in a division where the top dogs in their 30s and they could conceivably be on their way out in the next 2 years. So I'm looking forward to seeing him get busy. He's from Toledo too, another Midwest boy.
I see a Toledo guy. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
or at least I've done forgot about that. If I did know, we also have Sebastian Fundora versus Brian Mendoza, WBC interim super middleweight or super welterweight bout on Showtime. This is also on April 8th. Again, fans, April 8th is abundant with bouts. You know what I mean? So this weekend should be good. We also have a DAZN card, which also will feature some, I think it's bantamweight action, I believe, on the DAZN card.
Maybe Ben Rodriguez fighting, or is that next week?
I think that's next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Fundora fight, that should be a decent fight. Fundora, he is a killer at his size. He's very unique for the sport, 154, but he's 110 pounds. He can fight. Brian Mendoza, he coming off a win where he stopped Jerison Rosario, a fighter who really probably not who we thought he was after he had beat J-Rock. We thought he was something a little bit special, but for the first time in my life, I've seen somebody get stopped with a jab to the stomach. So I'm not as high on him as I used to be, but for Mendoza, it was a confidence builder for him. He seemed confident going to this fight with Fundora, who maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I can't remember, but when he beat your boy, when he stopped and gained a woo 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 on his head. Damn, man, I'm terrible with names.
African dude.
No, you're not African.
No. Then I'm thinking
What the
around
fuck
fight.
is Fundora versus it's the same guy that Jamel Charlo stopped with the abusive uppercut. He can fight.
Oh, Luke.
Erickson Luke. Fundora looked great against him in that potentially fight of that year, but he didn't look as good as his following fight. So I want to see how he fights this fight. This is gonna be a good. It's a good fight right here.
Oh, absolutely, I agree, man. And again, before we close out, man, anything you want to add to the gumbo before we let the fans go?
No, man, just looking forward to these fights coming up. A fantastic week, a month of fights, and hopefully the rest of the year should just be as incredible. Again, I do want to shout out to my fantastic daughter over there. She recording.
Executive producing.
Executive. She has all her credits. She get her credits. Yeah. She get busy and stuff. I'm proud of her. And then, of course, with our commentating partner, our fight partner, she over there in the wings too.
Talking shit in the corner.
And then, more importantly,
with delight.
My esteemed colleague, Jason.
Man, with delight.
We are here on the Jason Show.
Delight. No, we thank all the fans that have been tuning in, man. Thank you for rocking with Standing A Live. It's greatly appreciated. Big ups to everybody that's still competing in the Golden Glove tournament.
Get busy.
A couple weeks left.
Young man,
they are doing 4-pack packages you can win through 107.5. Couple weeks left, but again, man, big ups to the Golden Gloves and all those competing. Thank you to our sponsors, Says Boxing Academy, Conceited Nobody, as well as Nutrition Plus. Tune in again and tell a friend. This is Standing A Live. Thank you.